So Glenn Beck is still stumping for Ted Cruz. Apparently he didn't get the word that Ted is mathematically eliminated from winning the vote outright. The only way he can win is through a contested convention. But Glenn went on another really, really creepy God rant here. Let's watch.
And they're going to rake me over the coals for saying it, so be it. I believe that's the Almighty God saying, each one of you, I want you to stand and you choose good or evil. Which way will we go? Am I your God, and are you still my people? Choose who you serve. Before I walked out on stage, Ted and I got down on our knees and we prayed. And we didn't pray for us. We prayed for the nation and for you. He is a servant at heart. He is a man who was raised for these times. People don't believe that stuff anymore, but I do. If God raised George Washington and Ben Franklin and Thomas Jefferson and Thomas Paine, if he put that collection together, he is the Almighty. I think he could send us one guy. But even more importantly, he didn't just send us one guy. He sent you, and you, and you, and you, and you. We've all been born for this time to do the right thing and stand and make a logical decision.
Oh, that ending was perfect. No, you didn't just say that. Did you say that? Oh, he said that. He goes on the whole thing of God and the Almighty and Ted Cruz is the chosen one. All about Jesus. That's what it's about. We got to make a logical choice. It's got to be based on logic. Wait, that contradicts everything you said before it. You were talking about God and the Almighty. You literally said Ted and I got down on our knees and prayed. Maybe they did other stuff while they were on their knees. I'm not judging. I'm just saying that perhaps. You talk all about religion and then logic. We got to use logic. If you were using logic, you'd be voting for Bernie Sanders. God, unbelievable, man. I can't believe it. This is still a thing in 2016. And honestly, I think this is like this ideology and this kind of person and candidate in its last throes, to be honest. Because it just doesn't fly anymore, man. Like in 1955, the country probably would have fallen in love with Ted Cruz, or maybe even a little before that, 1950, thereabouts. Because they look, he's so moral because he's so religious. You know, he loves God and he says God picked him. So, you know, the way he talks is so scripted that it's great. Nowadays, people look at that like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you saying? Why are you talking to me in that fake way? I don't understand. Why are you pretending? Could you imagine Ted Cruz spoke the way he spoke just in normal situations with his like family 5 years ago, 10 years ago, just in the living room, like his mom's visiting and, you know, Mom, let me tell you about the fiscal responsibility of the government. And she'd be like, why are you pointing at me like that? And why are you speaking in that voice? Like, what are you doing? In fact, there was that great video where for one of the ad shoots, Ted Cruz had his family on the set because they were part of the ad. And he says something like, you know, my mom prayed for me for hours a day or something to that effect. And his mom's like, the fuck? Who does it? Nobody does that. What are you saying? But he's so fake he can't help himself. And look, Glenn Beck may be stupid enough to have genuinely fallen for it. Like, there was an interview where Ted Cruz's dad said to some Christian host that it was an angel who came down to Ted and told Ted, you need to run because you need to be president. So Ted Cruz's dad and Ted Cruz himself, they think it's like prophecy. No, they really believe that like God picked him and he needs to lead. How stupid, how insane do you have to be to believe that? And look at the arrogance, Bill Maher has a great line about this. He says that fundamentalist religion is basically arrogance parading as humility. Like they're pretending they're humble and they're servants, but in reality, it's the most arrogant thing anybody could ever believe. God picked you, of all people on the planet, to lead because you're that fucking special. So why isn't God picking the leader of Bolivia? Is he doing that? Does he care about Bolivia? Does God give a fuck about Fucking Burundi? Does he care about Burundi? Did he pick the VP there? No, he stayed out of the VP, but he picked the Secretary of the Treasury, let me tell you. What are you saying? You make no sense. This doesn't make any sense. You're like so far up your own ass with your fundamentalism. He said him and Ted prayed, Glenn Beck did. He was, quote, raised for these times, just like George Washington and Thomas Paine. Like he's divinely inspired. And then again at the end, he puts the twist in there. Logic. This is all about logic. But it's not. Everything you said was the opposite of logic. It was about feelings and emotions and prayer and, oh, he's raised for the time. He's the chosen one. He's the chosen one. In typical Glenn Beck fashion, you go back and you listen to everything he said there. How much policy substance was brought up? Did he mention the poverty rate in the country? Did he mention how many wars we're involved in, how much intervention we've done, how many trillions of dollars we've spent on foreign policy and on the military and in war in Iraq, for example? Did he mention anything of substance? Let's make the minimum wage a living wage so people have a decent standard of living. Did he mention anything? Healthcare? Anything? Anything? It's got nothing to do with any of that. God chose me. Sit down, shut the fuck up. I'm your leader. I'm the chosen one. I'm appointed by angels. And I was raised for these times. Okay, Glenn, you're starting to sound a lot like the Taliban. You may think that's a harsh analogy or a harsh comparison. Put a big old beard on Glenn, give him a little bit darker skin, change it to an Arabic accent, have him say Allah instead of God. That would be exactly like the Taliban.